Hello and good evening, everyone. Welcome to ESN. We're here for coverage of the AWSCO Snapdragon Continental Series. We're back in a 1.5 mile oval. We're at Kentucky Speedway for the Great American Insurance 300. It'll be 200 miles here here at Kentucky for the Continental drivers, and it's been a while since we've had any 1.5 mile tracks at this on this calendar, and we're getting two in a row here. It'll be Kentucky and it's Kentucky this week and Charlotte next up. And yeah, since it's been a while since we've seen these drivers take part in any kind of speedway racing. Really, I guess you can kind of count Hillside as a speedway racing track. Things are Drivers are definitely going to have to relearn a few things, I would say. I'm joined here in the studio with Ellie, who's first time she's in the studio with me here. Hello and welcome.
Hello.
And yeah, well, I'm not sure if you've kept up too much on the AWSCO racing circuit here, but if you need any help with the tracks, I'm right here. What do you think of the
All right.
of this upcoming this race we're gonna have here? What are your thoughts first off of being here in the studio with us, and what do you think what do you think's gonna happen in the race? Are you excited?
I am excited. I followed a bit. I'm new, but some of the races here, they've got some pretty fast practice times in, and I think we're gonna see a probably pretty clean race. If not, it's more fun anyway.
Yeah, that's probably going to happen. I feel like at this track there's a 50-50 chance of something massive happening early on in the race if my experiences with watching these cars race at Kentucky aren't too outdated. But yeah, if they wreck early, there might be quite a few cars involved. But at the same time, that can definitely throw us a wrench into the championship race. So we'll see what happens. And I don't think we had I don't think we had too many big incidents at Las Vegas. I want to say we had a bunch of smaller ones. I would say, and Texas kind of had some bigger incidents. Although I think the biggest incident at that track was on pit lane more than anything else. But I would say from the racing we saw at those tracks, I think Texas would be the close. Actually, no. Actually, what am I saying? It would be closer to Vegas, I would say, with the tri-oval design. But the banking works very differently in Kentucky than in Vegas. Kind of a flatter 1.5 mile track, so I think handling is going to be quite important here for a lot of these drivers. And I will say, what do you think? How do you think the cars are going to evolve around this race, given how much how much handling is projected to be an important part of moving up the field here?
Hold on one second.
Yeah, no problem. But yeah, at
Sorry, my mic started cutting
no
out.
problem.
What was the last few parts you said?
Yeah, I was just gonna ask, what do you think? How do you think the teams are gonna approach this, given how important handling is going to be for the in terms of getting moving up the field at this track?
If this is a rough track or a hard track to drive on, they're definitely going to have to be very good at handling tracks like that, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think so. Teams are gonna have to be paying a lot of attention to the setups and seeing how the drivers feel on both the short and the long run, I think. And knowing how the 1.5 mile tracks have fared so far this season, I would expect a good combination of both. Maybe a few shorter runs in the middle, but at least from what I remember from the Texas race, we had a very long run at the end of the race, and that was something that also really shook up the field. So we'll see how that pans out. Speaking of that Texas race, speaking of that Texas race, our last 1.5 mile winner jet bracket in the 66 is. Take a look where she's starting up here. She's starting just outside the top 10. She's one of the first cars that she's on the first row that didn't make it. First two cars that didn't make it to the fast head and shootout. She's starting outside in outside of row 6 and 12th. If you take a look at the cars that made it to the Fast 10, you'll see on the front row it's Edelstein and Davenport. Edelstein has been pretty strong all season, I think. Really made her mark at Hillside, which isn't a 1.5 mile track, but it does have that kind of speedway racing vibe to it. That speedway racing vibe, multi-groove, and a lot of I should say run management kind of racing. So we'll see if she can continue that momentum and take it to a slightly different kind of racing. Not sure how she did in the. I don't think she. Her results are not too remarkable otherwise on the 1.5 mile tracks, but at the same time, I think some of those runs were shortened a bit by some unfortunate luck with incidents. So good. We'll see. Edelstein is definitely one of the drivers that has a lot of momentum so far coming into this track, and we'll see if she is able to keep that up. On the other hand, you have Naomi Davenport, who hasn't qualified for every week, but I think she's had pretty good result at Las Vegas when she raced here. I don't think she raced in the Texas race, but yeah, she finished just outside the top 10 in Vegas, so has a bit of experience at the 1.5 mile tracks. I wouldn't say that's her best type of racing, but it's something that we'll have to see. We'll have to see as the race goes on. Also, Sandy Martel is here, a driver who we haven't seen in the field for very often. Qualified really well, starting on the outside of the second row in 4th. The last time she was on the grid at South Boston, she was a front runner and almost won. Finished 3rd in that race. Was involved in that absolutely epic battle for the win at that track, and we should try to go a little better here and try to grab a win. After all, with the way the AWSCO playoff format is, if you get a win, it doesn't matter where you are in points, and she'll be in the playoffs regardless of being 45th down in points. So it's definitely something she'll want to take a look at. I think if you're the 82 team, you're definitely going to be in a all or nothing kind of stance. And what do you, Ellie? What do you think? What do you think about some of the drivers that are starting out? They're starting up front, but are lower down in points. Davenport and Martel obviously being 2 of those. And I guess you can almost count Latanya Gray in that as well. She's not too far off, but I think if you're barely in the top 30 right now, I think you'll be in that. I think you'd be in that part of the points where you'd really want to just start hunting for wins down.
Oh, my mic was not on. With Davenport, with her times in, if you're one of those racers that have lower points or just aren't as experienced, I'd say I would be watching out for her and how she's driving.
Yeah, I would say. I mean, with Davenport, she's typically runs well when she makes it. She's just been in a bit of a points hole so far. But in the last 4 races she's run, she's finished in the top 16 all 4 times. Her worst finish was 16th at, I think, Bristol. And the last 2 of those results have been both top 10. So she's a driver that isn't always on the field, but whenever she is here, she seems to perform pretty well. And now that she's starting up front, we'll see where she can take that throughout the rest of the race. Let's take a look at some of the other drivers that are kind of starting down that are kind of further down in points, I would say. Maybe let's take a look at row 7 there. We got Zoe Quinton as well. Quinton's another one of the drivers. She's driving for Macmillan Enterprises, a team that has been quite good in terms of performances. I mean, that's the same team as Freya von Lundquist, who's 2nd in points. Same team as Reina Munoz, who's 14th in points. And even Krista Anderson, who missed a couple of the first races, has been pretty consistently performing in the last few rounds and has found her way into that playoff battle on points. So I think if you're Quinton, there might be something to prove here. What do you think, Ellie?
I think there very much might be something to prove here. A lot of these racers with lower points, maybe they're more experienced than we think. They can show us something with this race.
Yeah, I would think so. Quinton has come close to winning a few times, I think. I think as well especially in that strategy race at California, that was a race where fuel strategy played a big role in that, and she was running pretty high come the end of that, but just wasn't the first car to take advantage of that strategy run. So we'll see if strategy becomes a factor. We'll definitely see teams probably end up seeing teams like that take big swings for
sure.
a race win. Yeah. Well, say another driver that might be a bit of a dark horse, that 51 of Stella Arcadia, who had an absolutely rotten start to the season, as we all know. But ever since then, she's been consistently qualifying for races, and her results are a bit up and down. But I would say that's a driver to look out for. She has three top tens this season, and they've all come in the last six races. So pretty consistently good performances from the 51 of Arcadia. And she's kind of also in that mix, kind of on the edge of the top 40. So a driver that's probably looking to get a win, and she's come close a few times. She's been really good at some tracks, and I think she really took advantage of the short track stretch. We'll see if she can take advantage of these next two races at a 1.5 mile tracks. I'm not sure if she raced in either of them, although she might have been at Texas. Let me double check that. Oh yeah, she did finish 6th at Texas, so there we go. Good performance from her in that race, and she's starting on the outside of row 12th and 24th, kind of in that middle of the pack. I should ask Ellie, for the drivers that are starting in the middle of the pack, how do you think they're going to approach this race? Do you think they're going to try to set up their car to be better on the long run, or are they going to try to pick off some positions early on and have a really good short run car in anticipation of maybe a bunch of early cautions?
I think some of these they're definitely going to be playing the long run for sure. I mean, that's how I would race personally. I would be playing the long run.
Yeah.
With a track like this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's probably a pretty good investment to make, especially if you can get a long run. You can make some really good ground, I think, position-wise.
For sure.
Yeah. I think the last car we'll take a look at is the 26 of Robin Morales, starting in last place, took the last provisional, down in 38th place. Project Horizon Racing has been a team on the up and up, had a really bad start to the season, but it's been really good ever since they, especially the 26 team, ever since they get a consistent run of qualifying races in. And I think that win at the Milwaukee Mile is just proof that this is a team that's on the up and up. And I think, I'm not sure what you think, but I think, Ellie, but I definitely think that that 26 team is one to look out for, especially perhaps later on in the playoff hunt.
I think so too. I think they might have something to prove here.
Yeah, three top fives in the last 5 races, including that win. So we'll see how they do here. And with that, this will wrap up our pre-race show here. We'll take you over to the booth where it'll be Echo and Rana calling the race from Kentucky Speedway here. Take it away.
Yeah, and hello, welcome to Kentucky Speedway for the Great American Insurance 300. I'm joined by Rena here. Hello, Rena.
Drivers,
hello.
To your cars.
So, 200 laps tonight here from the Kentucky Speedway. This is a track that tends to have a lot of long runs, but it also tends to be high action. There's going to be a lot of moves that are made early. There's going to be a lot of moves that are made throughout the race. You have any big expectations in this one?
Based on my experience with this racetrack, I think it's very highly likely we have a long string of early cautions that kind of mix up the field and take out contenders early. My prediction is after that, we have a few longer runs before the action picking up again later in the race.
All right.
So I expect the short run cars to benefit early on.
All right, well, the cars that are up front, I think, are the ones that are kind of more short run, based, but the longer runs are going to be very key, especially in the middle of the race, with this being a 200-lap event. All right, let's go through your starting grade here from the Kentucky Speedway. Row 1, it's the 14, Katrin Edelstein, alongside the 22 of Naomi Davenport. Winner at Hillside, alongside the driver who's really struggled to make races, but sitting 39th in points, but did finish 10th last week in Milwaukee. Row 2, Takemoto Aya in the 11 is alongside Sandy Martel in the 82. Aya's had some pretty good runs lately, just hasn't been able to get the finishes. Martel, well, barely qualifies, but usually when she qualifies, she does pretty well. Row 3, most laps led last week in Milwaukee, Vinny Schultz, and the 65 of Latanya Gray. Row 4, it's the 04 of Eli Ille, and the 10 of Eliza Evergreen, the winner at Irwindale. Row 5, the 96, Lynn Oswell, and the 93 of Izzy Overman, a 3-time winner this season in that 93, and she won at a fairly similar track in Nashville and in Fontana as well. Row 7, or 6, I don't remember. I think it's 6. Row 6, it's Lux Akuma in the 6, and Jet Brackett in the 66. How about row 6 having the 6 and 66? That's one of the combinations, I think. Row 7, the 5 of Zoe Quinton and the 77 of Rose Lockport. Row 8 is the 38 of Isabella Fitzmaurice and the 99 of Karina Willis-Callaway. Row 9, the 12 of Jackie Kennedy and the 0 of Hideyoko. Row 10, the 25 of Kathy Ableton Perez and the 24 of Ashley Johnson. Row 11, the 42, Freya Von Lundquist and the 15 of Isabella Smith. Row 12, the 45, Liz Roberts and the 51 of Stella Arcadia. Row 13, Kate Summers finished third last week in Milwaukee and the 59 of Abby Buchanan. Row 14, the 55, Deborah Williams and the 84 of Casper Von Weber. Row 15, the 95 of Cara Reynolds and the 31 of Lori Ramirez. Row 16, the 60 of Jennifer Wilson and the 16 of Leah Azelhart, those two Gulf Racing teammates. Back in the provisional land, we have the 64 of Miami Moriyama and the 2 of Rachel Ramos in row 17. Row 18, the 40 of Laura Sundale and the 7 of Reina Munoz. And in row 19, the 35, Krista Andresen, and our most recent winner, last week's winner, Robin Morales, who won at Milwaukee. From the pole, it wasn't a wire-to-wire performance from the pole, but Morales managed to make it count when it deserved to count last week. All right, 200 laps tonight. Is there any keys to this race you think that these drivers need to focus on, especially early in the going?
I think early in the going, aggression is going to be your best friend. Just keep your nose clean. But knowing how wide this racetrack is and how fast these first sets of laps they're going to go, I think it's highly likely we see incidents. So you want to be making up positions early, and the closer to the front you can get, the less likely you are to be in front of or behind a big accident, and that can end your race right now. So I would say, like, if you're like from 6th to like 12th place, you just need to be pushing pretty hard, and just expect there to be an incident further down in the field.
Yeah, and I kind of expect. I'm not sure what to expect here. The way this track is run, it's either run very clean early or very, very aggressive and very wrecky early. You think the winner comes from the front or the back here at the start of this race?
Honestly, I'd keep my eye on Izzy Oberman. I think she's going for 4 this week.
Well, that's not a bad pick, considering how Izzy Oberman runs. But for Izzy Oberman, it's kind of been a tale of where she's been one of the drivers who just kind of shows up at the end of the race. The only race where she led more than 10 laps and won was at Nashville. Everywhere else, Fontana, she led just 1 lap in that race, and at South Boston, she only led 4 on route to winning that race. All right, Edelstein and Davenport lead the field as we come down the front straightaway to the green flag here from Kentucky Speedway. Under the lights from this beautiful 1.5 mile oval in the heart of Kentucky. Green flag is out, and we are racing in Kentucky.
Takemoto Aya getting a pretty good run from 3rd. Now going to challenge Katrin Edelstein, potentially.
They're going to go 3 wide up front for the lead. Here comes Martel.
Like I said, aggression is the name of the game. Look at Vinny Schultz.
The 62 is up here. Here comes Vinny, but the first lap will go to Sandy Martell, the driver dead last in points. And who would have expected that, as they are 3 wide all over in the back of the field. Schultz trying to take this spot away. Here comes the 04 of Ile. And with how closely bunched together they are at the start of the race, you're going to see cars drop from 1st to 5th, as you saw the 82 do. Schultz leads lap 2, but here comes the 04. And there's a crash. It's the 55, Deborah Williams. Morales is involved. Munoz, Ramirez. Caution is out.
I think Ile is gonna take the lead here as they race back to the line.
Let's hope they're careful as they get back assorted under the caution flag here. All 3 wide over here. This is going to be a bit tough to sort out. Well, we'll watch and see if anybody comes to pit road, and if they do, we'll watch the pit stops, and if they don't, we will get you a replay of what just happened there to bring out our first caution of the day here on lap number 3. Yep, looks like everybody's coming down.
Four laps in pitting, what do you think these teams are thinking as far as strategy goes? I think it's a bit early for tires, but...
Check the tires, top up on the fuel a little bit. You can go about 60 laps on fuel here, so maybe just top up the fuel a bit so you can avoid taking a little longer on your next stop. Some of these teams
Vinny
doing
Schultz
2
had the right
tires.
idea there.
Yep, Schultz just topped up. Gray is going to get out second. Quentin, Kennedy, and Ile will be the next 4. Check what happened to the 5th. Let's check what happened here. They were 4 wide back here, and Williams just spins. Johnson cuts across the track. Ashley Johnson in the 24 just kind of gets bumped across the track and sends the 7 and the 26 spinning.
Honestly, it's incredible she managed to save that car and not get more damage than she did.
Say as well, Robin Morales doesn't have a lot of front end damage, so at worst, maybe the 26 has aero damage. The 31 is the only car that's out of the race from the incident, so...
We'll say if the Old Dodge stays true, or if they can go green for a bit longer this time around.
The lights are still on the pace car, so we'll have another lap of caution here. Just a bit of a tough incident there. I mean, that didn't really... It wasn't a big incident. That was just a couple cars at the back getting kind of caught up in something, but... very tough, especially when you're at the back, when somebody spins in front of you like that and you just don't really have anything you could do. I mean, I'm sure Robin Morales is not too thrilled about that, but the 26 doesn't look too banged up arrow-wise, if you ignore the missing rear bumper.
I imagine, because a lot of those teams got into this race on provisionals, I imagine a lot of them are upset they weren't able to qualify that there, which would have kept them out of that situation entirely.
Well, I think the 26 and the 7 took a provisional. I don't know about the... I think the 55 was... Yeah, the 55 and 24 and the 31 were all in on speed. They just qualified towards the back on speed. But with everybody single filed out now, it's going to be a little bit... I think it's going to be a little harder to send it 4 wide and cause an accident like that. So the lights should go out this time on the pace car, and they do. So we have received the one-to-go signal. So Vinny Schultz is out front with Latanya Gray in second. Then it's Quentin, Kennedy, and Ile that make up the top 5. Vinny Schultz, once again, having a pretty solid look this week. I mean, it is very early. We're not even in the double-digit laps yet, but we've had to give some praise to how the 62 has run over the last little while, over this whole season, really. Sitting tied for 5th in the points with Moriyama right now. I believe she actually has that tiebreak on the 64, so sitting 5th in the points. She's run very well. Probably been, the most consistent Inverness racing car. Obviously, probably not the best one, because the 93 of Izzy Oberman has 3 wins, but still been a very solid year for Vinny Schultz.
Yeah, and that 62 team will show up with a lot of speed oftentimes. The luck and execution just hasn't been there. I mean, you expect to see that eventually come through, and 62 should, show that one of these days. And today might be that day, but given how this track race is, going to be a tough fight to even keep the lead, let alone be there at the end. Here comes the restart.
Well, yeah. All right. Pace car's off. Here we go. Green flag back out from Kentucky, and the 62 got a pretty good jump.
Zoe Quinton had a really slow start, but Kennedy's going to take advantage of that.
I was going to say about Vinny Schultz, she led the most laps at Milwaukee last week, and while it only resulted in an 8th place finish, still a really good showing for that team last week to be able to lead as many laps as they did. Schultz will hold on to the lead, though. It's Gray, Kennedy, Aya, and it'll be Ile who cycles out into the 5th position. Ableton Perez battling the 04 for that spot right now. They're 3 wide a little further back with Roberts and Edelstein and Quinton.
Bit of a sketchy look for the 5 car.
I thought I heard spinning again, but I am just crazy. Move for the lead. Here comes Latanya. And look, watch out, because here comes the 11 of Takamoto Aya. That's one of Vinny's teammates, so that's 2 Inverness racing cars fighting with a Dark Horse racing car. Obviously, Dark Horse Racing that just took a win last week at Road America in the Cup Series.
Outside Lane seems to have a better run through 1 and 2 at least.
Yeah, that was a great run that Schultz got through 1 and 2 that time to fight back on the 65. But Latanya leads another lap here.
Schultz to the inside.
How about Kate Summers, already in the top 10? She started pretty deep. And the 62 definitely looks very strong right now. Maybe
Alex Kennedy is also there, kind of lurking. Massive run on the 12. Oh my goodness.
Alex Kennedy?
Sorry.
Jackie Kennedy.
Jack Kennedy.
He drove straight across the damn racetrack. Battling Schultz for the lead. The 62 had it at the line, but the 12 is got a pretty solid look off the corner. Liz Roberts and Sandy Martell trying to make moves down here.
Oh, they're
They're
4 wide.
sliding almost 4 wide.
Short end of that.
Kennedy leads at the start-finish line this time.
Say another Inverness, unless I'm incorrect about that, Luxakuma.
Yeah, the 6
entering the
car.
top 10.
Yep, you are correct about that. She's up here in the top 10, fighting with Aya.
Looks like all of the Inverness cars really should have prepared.
Here, 4 wide. Well, they were almost 4 wide back there.
Oh, the 15.
Isabella
Got
Smith,
very,
who's
very close.
struggled to make some races as Schultz goes back to the inside on Kennedy.
Liz Roberts is suddenly a factor in this early on.
Yeah, that's just how it goes here sometimes. You can just make up ground.
Such a wide track, passing is very available. I think it's going to lend itself to a lot of comers and goers as the race goes on.
That's the thing here as well, is This is a track because it's so wide. There's quite a few grooves you can use here. It really lends itself to just cars going all over and getting, you know, being able to make passes.
Yeah, it reminds me a lot of Atlanta, before the repave the older circuit. More like around 2014, I would think. Reminds me of how this track races in the modern day. That is a sketchy situation. Lex Akuma backed out. Very wise decision.
Yeah, Kuma
Both
almost
that
went
corner
four
very
wide.
well.
That would not have been a smart move if she did that, but she did not do that. As Kennedy fights
Kennedy.
Roberts.
Oh my goodness. One of the things you're noticing, and it keeps kind of putting me on the edge, is it's so easy to get loose on entry to the corner, and you're seeing especially drivers in that middle lane who are dealing with a lot of dirty air, are slowing down and not able to maintain speed through the corner, and it creates those situations where everybody's fanning out wide through the corner.
Here comes Martel. She's kind of shown up here once again at the front. So is Kate Summers in the 8 car. Check up on our damaged cars at the back. The 26 is not keeping speed. Okay, well, I was a bit wrong. I thought she would be able to keep speed, but...
It will not be a back-to-back week for Robin Morales.
Well, not unless something crazy happens that
Not
gets
sure
her
what
back up
Karina
front.
Willis-Callaway is doing. Maybe got into a little bit of a disagreement with Vinny Schultz, but pretty much rode the bumper the entire way through that corner.
That's just kind of how you have to run the corners. Well, aside from that early yellow, been clean so far. Well, I'm not sure if I'd say clean, but it has been...
Caution-free.
Yeah. Incident-free, I guess would be the more apt term.
Takemoto Aya drives with such aggression, and it's incredible to watch. Really, lap after lap, the 11 sends it with full intention of making the corner, but doesn't always have it. But you can definitely say it's fun to watch.
Kate Summers up into second spot. She just took it 3 wide there on a couple of those drivers. Now going to look underneath the 12 of Kennedy. And I mean, another thing that might bring them in is the lap cars. When they catch those lap cars, it is not going to be... Well, when they catch the lap cars, it's gonna be dicey. If you're trying to make a side-by-side move, it depends on where that lap car goes, if they go high or if they go low. Might see some gamesmanship, more like using drivers as a pick.
Especially with how wide this track is, it's really easy to get boxed in, especially if you're surrounded by drivers and you see nobody's really pulling away. So you're getting a lot of opportunities for something like that to happen. I say if you watch the cars running the middle, I think the middle lane is the fastest if you can get it to stick. You see Kennedy run that line very, very well. Tires locked on the end of the lane. But if you look back further in the pack, especially the dirtier the air gets, the more you see the cars wiggle and struggle to stay on the lane. The 25 right there, just for example, and it has to be killing tires. I can't imagine what it must feel like in the car, but it's also the fastest way around the track, so it's a bit of a risky maneuver.
Well, the other thing is that, you know, the banking in turns 1 and 2 is different than the banking in turns 3 and 4. It's a little bit higher in 1, which actually lends a little bit more to the outside lane. The inside lane is so much stronger in 3 and 4 because 3 and 4 is only banked around 14 degrees, whereas 1 and 2, it's got about more like 17 degrees of banking. So it's only 3 degrees, but it means a lot, especially in corner speed. You'll see the 8 car only bottomed out there at about 187. You can watch her telemetry here. She drops down all the way to 180 in turns 3 and 4, just because of the difference in corner speeds because of the different banking in each corner.
I'm watching all the different drivers trying to get a feel for how their cars are handling. It looks like Liz Roberts is very, very fast, but running a much looser setup than Summers. See that the back end of that car wiggle a lot more. And it's not just in dirty air. We saw that whenever she did get some clean air, just maybe 5 or 10 laps ago. The car is just very loose, but I guess it's working out for her. She's up here fighting for the lead.
Well, this track does kind of benefit a bit of a looser setup. This track does kind of benefit a looser setup here. Just with how it's configured and how aggressive you have to be, the looser the setup is.
It definitely helps with bite through the corners. I imagine it helps a lot in 3 and 4. Through 1 and 2, though, I think a tighter setup might actually be a little faster. So it's an interesting rat race with the crew chiefs trying to figure out what's the best strategy for running this race. And Liz Roberts going to take the lead.
45 car now out front as they cross the start-finish line. The 8 car crosses her over, dives right back underneath.
And those two battling has allowed the 82 and 22 to catch up quite a bit. Even Kennedy, who got boxed in a little bit by the lap car, back into this one.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's another thing that this track does is it fans out and then it brings everyone right back in like an accordion. Kind of like the similar thing we see at, Auto Club, where it just, it'll spread out and fan out for a bit, and then once they start battling up at the front, it'll bring everyone right back on each other.
Yeah, I think Auto Club is a really good comparison, especially for the age and style of racing this track produces. California tends to wear out tires enough, but it's such a wide track that cars evolve very quickly as the race goes on, and there's a lot of places to find grip. So as a result, no one's really running too terrible for too long throughout each stint.
Yeah, and as well, this track has been sitting basically dormant for about 5 years, so they've cleared it up a little bit, but the surface has taken a bit of a hit. Roberts now out front. Martell's going to try and pass Summers for the second position, but Summers got a good run up top. Their field's mostly single filed out for now. Pretty calm. Can't say that's ultra surprising. On the longer runs, these drivers get a lot less antsy just because you have to take care of your stuff after a while. But it's not, they're not gonna not pass. There's still gonna be quite a few battles. We've seen the 82 of Sandy Martell hook to the inside on Summers here, once again for second. Jackie Kennedy might try for that spot too, but Summers once again using the top lane to her advantage in turn 1.
Yeah, I like the outlook for, I like seeing Freya von Lundqvist in 11th back there. Kind of quietly been making her way through the field.
Yeah, just very slowly, methodically driving up through the field. See Naomi Davenport now making a move on Sandy Martell for the 3rd spot. Might see Kennedy go for that spot as well, but looks like Davenport's gonna get the better run off the corner. I think the deeper we go into this run, you're gonna see the top lane be a little more effective in 1 and 2. 3 and 4, well, not so much because, well, the 25's still able to dive bomb at 3 wide as Summers goes back for the lead on Roberts.
The 45 able to build up quite a bit of a run through 1 and 2.
45 stayed with her.
But I think
Here's where it's going to be. I think this is where Summers is going to make the money. Right off turn, right through 3 and 4, just the outside has so much less grip there. Summers back out front.
Oh.
But Roberts is going to try the crossover. Actually hung with Summers pretty well there. Martel way up the track here. 82's really been losing positions quite quickly. Now Summers is going to lose second to Davenport unless she can pull some momentum by her here in 1 and 2. I don't think she's going to do it.
A little contact with them on your car.
Yeah, it looks like Smith made some contact with maybe Aya or Martel. Not 100% sure. Haven't had any reported issues yet in this race, so... Hey, Reina Munoz is hanging with the pack right now, back here. Involved in that incident. Obviously, there's no rear bumper cover on that car either, but... Still hanging up here. Ableton Perez trying to take second, but Summers also wants second back.
I think if the 25 can hold position, I think she can hold on to second here.
You know what's interesting? We've seen Liz Roberts. Liz Roberts has yet to score a top 10 this season. And,
Able to get the run, but not able to get the grip that she needed to stay in real contention for that position.
I mean, at Hillside, she would have easily finished second, but she had an issue. She had an engine issue in that race, and it relegated her to a 22nd place finish. In Milwaukee last week, she looked very fast, but an incident relegated her to finishing 20th in that race.
I think Liz Roberts is a really fast race car driver. Just things have not fallen the right way for that team.
Yeah, she won back-to-back poles earlier in the season. You know, that 45 car has had speed.
We haven't really talked about our fourth place driver, the 59.
Yeah, Big Buchanan's kind of shown up here.
Same kind of thing as Lundqvist, who's in the top 10, by the way. Just slowly but methodically making her way through the field. I really think that's the best way to do it on these long runs. At a lap car.
Yeah, that's the 55 again, so they're putting the 55 a second lap down now. And one thing as well that's a challenge with this track, pit road entry, you're going to see a lot of drivers mess that up just because it's such a tough pit road to get onto here.
We're still probably a good 20-25 laps away from pit stops. But
yeah, but you might see a ton of drivers get penalized for missing the commitment entry, or just flat out speeding on pit road. Summers looks underneath. Here comes Ableton Perez looking 3 wide bottom, but she's not gonna be able to get the room to do it. Not quite yet.
Get the run though.
I think she'll go for it in 1 and 2 here. Just cannot get the pull off of turn number 2 though. And Roberts is gonna now try and get around her on the outside. And she'll clear for second. Ratio, what's up?
Yeah, we just want us over here in the studio crew are just making an observation here, looking at a lot of the cars that are running in the top 10 right now. A lot of them started out in that kind of midfield pack. I mean, you see the 8, 25, 45, all of them kind of started out in the middle row. I want to say around 20th or so. You mentioned, I think Rena mentioned the 42 was fighting for the top 10 as well, and I think you can definitely include the 59 of Buchanan as well, and even maybe the 15. I want to say even the 15 of Isabella Smith, I want to say, kind of started in that area. And I think we're starting to look at the long run focus that a lot of these cars that started out in the middle of the pack we're looking at. And right now, the way that the race has panned out, it's been pretty beneficial for these cars who have been looking to gain ground through the long run. I would say, and we'll see how that continues on as we're getting a very good long run so far in this race.
Yeah, I mean, early incident, an early incident, got them to restart. I think maybe just gave them a little bit of a fresher frame of mind to just settle down. Don't take it too hard, or don't take it too hard this early. We'll set everything up for the later stages of the race. I think that's what they're doing right now. This long run, pretty calm, been pretty clean, but they've been aggressive as well. They managed to make it stick though. And I think that's playing into the strategy of those cars that started towards the middle and the back of the field. So Summers leading, Ableton Perez, Roberts, Davenport, and Edelstein are the top 5 as we are almost a quarter of the way through this race here from Kentucky, the Great American Insurance 300. There's been one incident early on for a 4-car wreck that involved Lori Ramirez, Deborah Williams, Robin Morales, and Reina Munoz. Ramirez is out of the race, Williams is 2 laps down, and Robin Morales is pretty close to being lapped. She's not been lapped yet, but it appears to be fairly close to happening, as the rest of the field is pretty quickly encroaching on that 26. Expecting pit stops within about 10 to 20 laps. We will have some more information on that when it is available. But we are expecting pit stops not too far in the distant future. Might have a fight for second here. Here comes Roberts underneath Ableton Perez. Still not really any mechanical issues that have been reported either, so. 3 wide. Here comes Davenport.
Wouldn't want to jinx it there, Echo.
Well, you never know. Hey, well, guess what I did? 93 we're hearing is having some issues. That car is pretty clearly off the pace. So, unfortunate for Izzy Oberman, who has 3 wins and looking for a 4th, but it looks a little unlikely. 65 of Latanya Gray is on pit road. That appears to be a bit early. Looks a bit early. 93 is coming down pit road right now, so looks like whatever problem they have, they're coming in right now to fix it. This car is lapping the 26 of Morales, so they're putting her behind the field. Kate Summers, though, once again, looks very strong. And, with the way that this 8 car has been running in recent weeks, I mean, I can't say this is too shocking. Cars are running up high. I think we got cars coming to pit road. Yep, 8 cars in, 22. 1282. 35, 04, 5, 7, all down pit road. So a bunch of cars making it to pit road, and this is earlier than I was expecting. Looks like they can only go about 55 laps instead of 65. Like I was expecting. 25's in, 6 cars down. There's contact, there's a spin on pit entry. It's Morales. Morales has blocked a fair bit of the field, and there's a stack up. The 51 has run right into the 40 of Lara Sundale. Big stack up on pit entry as the 26 of Robin Morales spun around in front of a bunch of cars. .45 is in, so now that will leave the 64 of Mayumi Moriyama as the leader. She'll get a bonus point for leading a lap. She stays out an extra lap. I think there's a new kick message. So Moriyama leading the way, and she'll come to pit road now. Here's the prospective battle for the lead. Actually, I'm very curious as to what the prospective battle for the lead is now. Obviously, the 64 just came down pit road. The 93's pit stop. Oh, the 95 has spun. Caution. Caution is out.
Oh, that's unlucky for a few drivers.
I think they might be okay, actually. Eight car is going to lead him back to the line, I believe. I lied. I believe the 64 is the leader.
Where is Moriyama? Oh, wow. Well,
Yep.
She
is the
going
leader
around
still.
the pace car.
I believe she technically has not taken the caution yet. Ellie, what do you got for the 93?
Oh, upon opening the hood, there's further engine issues in general, upon just the fuel system failing.
Well, that's unfortunate to hear for Izzy Oberman, because they got her back out, but they took a while, and... Alright, it looks like the 77,
Is
99...
Arcadia out from the first caution? I don't remember us talking about
Nope, there was a pit road stack up. The 26 spun out on pit entry.
that. Is unfortunate. I don't think Moriyama, unless Moriyama is like up by a lap.
Moriyama is, I believe she is in fact a lap ahead of the field. Rasha, what do you got on the 65 of Gray?
Yeah, the 65 team just taking that car down to pit lane another time. They've been making a lot of tweaks to that car. They tried to stay out. They obviously tried to stay out and just take fuel on that initial caution, but Latania's been complaining about handling issues all day so far on that car, and that's why they dropped quite a few positions back as the long run continued onwards there. That was a bit unfortunate for them, but now with this caution, they've been able to take a look at some of the and make some adjustments on that car at least twice now, and hopefully for them, they sorted some of the handling issues on that car out, and they can run a bit faster now.
So Moriyama got very lucky, luck of the draw there for the 64, and that's put her out in front. These cars that just came down pit road, they'll all take the wave around. The 59 of Buchanan is coming down, so is the 55 of Deborah Williams. So these cars will all take the wave around here. a fair amount. There's a few cars that I have to wave around here. The 59 and 55 pitted on the wave around lap, so they will not get their laps back. And well, actually they will, because they're in between
Lap
the
cars
leaders.
in the top 10.
Yeah, they're lap cars in the top 10. That's not supposed to apply for cars in front of the wave around, but I'm gonna make an exception because there's literally I literally just had to wave around the entire field here. Well, let's go back and see what happened to the 95 of Cara Reynolds that brought out that caution. So side by side with Freya von Lundqvist on pit exit. They're 3 wide now on pit exit. 14 bumps into the 42, bumps into the 95, and 95 slides up onto the track trying to get it righted, and that's what brings out that is what brings out the second yellow flag of the day. So Mayumi Moriyama got a free pit stop. And now the 64 cycles out to the lead because of that. So pretty lucky for Moriyama there.
Speaking of Mayumi Moriyama, who's sponsored by the company Toho in collaboration with Fortnite, Lego just announced they're doing their very first Godzilla themed set.
Yeah, maybe that could be.
Kate Summers and Kathy Ableton Perez may take it 3 wide immediately off the rip.
Maybe she could sport a Lego scheme soon. All right, green flag. Ableton Perez and Summers both dive bombed the 64. Oh boy, here we go. 4 wide.
There's my 4 wide racing.
All over the place back here as Roberts leads at the line that time, but oh no, she doesn't. I lied. It was Davenport.
The 4 wide racing continues very, very tight. Jet Brackett is all of a sudden in this conversation.
Yeah, Texas winner Brackett. She managed to take that one off strategy, and
Ooh, Moriyama, the aggressive block on Kennedy stacking a bit of the field behind them.
99, Karina Willis-Calloway looks like she's had to come to pit road for a penalty as, whoa, we got a big crash in the back of the field. LaTonya Gray is upside down.
Well, what do we say about, oh my goodness.
Deborah Williams.
What do we say about cautions?
Looks like Freya von Lundqvist has a lot of damage.
Yeah, that car is billowing smoke.
They've had a big crash. That is, 64 is staying out. Looks like everybody else is coming to pit road. Oh no, the 59 is also going to stay out. Well, that crazy racing.
64 team is betting on another caution coming out.
That was, I guess that crazy racing couldn't have lasted too long. So.
Yeah, they were 4 wide for so many laps.
42 did make it back around.
Out of this one.
Yeah, that car's done.
How about the luck of Karina Willis-Calloway?
Her coming to pit road might honestly have actually been what started that wreck, but I'm not completely sure. Well, let's go see what happens. The 66, or the 99 and the 15 both had to come down pit road. These cars slid up the track.
Oh, the 15.
Oh!
Oh! Looked like Yoko got into 65, and they both got shot up the track.
I think the 65 and the 0 made some contact there. I think the 0 veers up the track because the 99's pitting in front of her and doesn't realize that she's not clear of the 65.
I don't think she meant to block. I think she got tight, and that was a 4 wide situation.
I think the 0 goes up here because this 99's
that's
pitting.
why Oh, that was just unfortunate timing. Lux Akuma taking a nice drive through the grass to avoid that.
The
And then
55 of Deborah Williams just could not get stopped in time.
A little Arca brakes never hurt anybody.
I mean, it did, but we can just ignore it, I guess. Did Akuma actually go through the grass? Oh yeah, she did. Made some contact with the 26 of Morales there, but... no harm, no foul. 26 of Morales would have been the free pass car, but... because she was involved in the incident, no free pass.
I think the 84 is off.
Yeah, the 84 is retired. We'll have to get a follow-up on that. Ellie, what's up?
At the pit, 55 is destroyed. Not sure if this car will make it back on the track.
It looks like they have retired the 55 car from the race, so...
Yep.
Rasha, what's up on the 84 of Von Weber?
Yeah, sorry about that. We're just checking on the 84 car situation, and I think that might have been a piston issue on that 84 car that took it out of the race. And yeah, I don't think that's an issue. I don't think that's an issue that they'll be able to fix up in the garage. So that'll be at the end of the day for them.
Oh, the police car is gonna enter pit road to get ready for the restart. Hot 70. Mayumi Moriyama, the leader. And the green flag is out. Buchanan moves down and then up. Liz Roberts is there. Davenport. And the 59 gonna jump to the inside of the 64. Those
Big
two
move.
did not pit. Davenport is the first car in this group who has after that caution.
Comes the 22.
Davenport on fresh tires. Only about 5 lap difference if I remember correctly.
Yeah, about 5 laps is the difference there. And now we got to move for the lead. There's Davenport underneath Buchanan. We got Jackie Kennedy. Then here comes Kate Summers, who's...
They are now 4 wide again. 82 falling back.
Oh, 5 car almost got into the 82 of Martel. We had somebody down pit road. Unless my eyes are deceiving me. My eyes, I believe, are in fact deceiving me. Oh no, it's the 99. She's back. I'm not sure what's up there.
Buchanan doing a good job of defending this position, but it's allowed Kennedy to make a run for it. Wow. Very aggressive send into that corner. The 12 car's been doing that all day, all night. Sending really, really deep onto the entry of the corner. It doesn't work out often, but when it has, it's been really good for that 12 team. Kate Summers getting squirrely underneath, but making up ground.
Okay, first stop, the 99 took right side tires. The second stop, she took left side tires. So I'm not sure what kind of gambit this is, but it is definitely one of them. Vinny Schultz right here. You see the 99 exiting pit road. I believe she's going to be scored 2 laps down on exit here.
Thankfully going to be clean for the field.
Yeah, not going to exit in between anybody, I believe. Yeah, she exited right at the tail end. 59 fights back on the 22. Buchanan for the lead. This is a home race for Abby Buchanan. Actually, just a home race for Appalachia Motorsports in general in the 59 and 95. So I'm sure Caleb Rose is very happy to see his team doing this well here. But Davenport crosses over, looks to the inside.
Oh, just got tight. Couldn't get the car to bite and get underneath. Now Kennedy's gonna take a peek at second place.
You know, Moriyama just hasn't... You know, Moriyama didn't really hold position very well. She's slid back quite a bit, back in 22nd. Abby Buchanan, the other car that stayed out. Looking pretty good. I'd say Buchanan looks like
Moriyama has missed the last few pit cycles, so he's on the oldest tires in the field. I think that likely has an effect on this.
That's a fair point. She may just not have the setup underneath her at this point in the race either.
But some laps led will look good on the stat sheet and get her a bonus point if I remember correctly.
Yep, get her a bonus point. NordVPN fastest lap right now, the 22, Naomi Davenport. Speaking of bonus points, 22 has one, and she's looking for another if she can lead this lap. I think she might have already led a lap, actually, but...
She led the first lap of the restart.
Yeah, well, that doesn't go with what I said, so I'm just going to ignore it.
Okay.
This is peak broadcasting.
Jackie Kennedy, that's a signature move for the 12.
Rewind.
And this time it bit.
And Kennedy will make it stick. Davenport might not even lead this lap. Led most of the lap, but didn't lead at the start-finish line either time.
Just a tenth of a second between them. Davenport has the preferred line here, but Kennedy had a lot of momentum.
Can you imagine if we get a late restart on this one? The scenes would be immaculate if we did.
The way these cars have been able to drive around this track, it's very, very competitive the whole field around. Zoe Quinton has been up to some shenanigans throughout the season, but now fighting for 5th place. It's the highest running McMillan car at the moment. She will enter her ordinal position.
Zoe Quinton, highest running McMillan car, is a sentence that has not been said very often this season. That 5 car has not been very good compared to literally every other car from that team, where the 42, 35, and 7 are all, you know, relatively close to the top 20 in points. I think they might all be in the top 20 in points. Yeah, in fact, they are. They all, in fact, are in the top 20 in points.
Oh, she's been helped out a little bit this race by the 42 and 7, both basically wrecking out of contention. And
Oh, yeah.
the 35 just hasn't had the pace all weekend.
Yeah, I mean, the 7 is still running. It looks like this, but it is still running. So, I mean...
You know, if I took off my glasses, it'd look like I'm at a modified tour event.
Yeah, no rear end, no front end, but... I mean, it still qualifies as a car, so I guess it's fair.
Plenty, not a lot of speed, but plenty of passion from Reina Munoz.
Oh my goodness, what is Morales doing?
What is? Okay.
That 20.
I
that
guess
lap
they
bar-
aren't content with taking the easy way.
So Buchanan now fighting for the second spot with Davenport as Kennedy's pulled out to a pretty decent lead. Quinn is up here battling with Roberts. Then Kate Summers sits back. Kate Summers has run up front all day. And I mean, that 8 car, I think, is a lot. I think the 8 car might be the strongest car in the long runs as she looks 3 wide middle.
Hey, Vinnie Schultz is also still in the top 10. I haven't
Yeah,
talked a lot
she's-
about her since the beginning of the race, but
She's gotten
staying
back up here.
consistent. And unless my eyes are deceiving me, Zoe Quinton is now on the podium position. Kate Summers got really loose there.
Yep,
That allowed
that's
Davenport to go past.
3rd place right now for Quinton. Pretty good. Kate Summers up into 5th. Got Vinnie Schultz sitting in. She was scored 9th last time by. Eli Ile in 10th. That's a run that she needs. Sandy Martell in 8th right now. Another driver who needs a pretty solid run. Isabella Fitzmaurice up in 6th. We haven't seen much of that 38 car today, but she's managed to make her way up here.
Yeah, pretty much all of Bulk Racing has been quiet this race. We saw Jet Bracket a little bit ago, but like Leah Azelhart has been non-existent this race as far as contention for the victory.
I think Azelhart was also involved in that last incident. She's actually still running in the top 20, though, battling with Aya right now. So it is Kennedy, Buchanan, Quinton, Davenport, Summers, the top 5, and then the top 10 is Roberts, Fitzmaurice, Martell, Schultz, and Ile. Because we've kind of single filed out now here up at the front, so kind of single filed out at the front now. Just
Yeah,
kind of
things have
calming
calmed
down.
and everybody's trying to probably save their equipment for a longer run.
I mean, we did see this happen in the first run where, they settled down after about, 25 laps. They got single filed out. They just strung out for a little while, just run some laps.
And it's good because we're not even halfway through this race. Kennedy got
catching the
slowed up by
7.
Munoz there.
Yeah, the lap car is going to
Munoz
slow up
might
Jackie
have-
Kennedy.
Munoz might
comes
have an
Buchanan.
ulterior motive given her teammate is in 3rd.
Here
Whether
comes
those
Buchanan.
two are on good terms or not.
Rasha, what's up on the 16 of Azelhart?
Yeah, I mean, you were talking about the potential damage that was sustained on the 16 car as a result of that incident, and I can confirm that they took a little bit of front end damage. They were worried. You can see the front hood's buckled in a little bit. They were worried that was going to affect the engine, but it appears the engine seems to be entirely untouched, and it doesn't seem like there's any issues with the top speed of that car. But there is a little bit of damage to the aero at the front that'll definitely hurt the handling a little bit. But so far, Azelhart's been running that car fine. Nothing too not too many concerns with the handling of the car right now. So good run continues for the 16, I would say.
Yeah, one of the things that sucks the most for a driver whenever they have that kind of like aerodynamic damage is that you are much more sensitive to tire wear. Since you can't rely on the aerodynamics to provide the downforce you need as tires wear out, you're relying almost entirely on your mechanical grip of the tires. It makes the car a lot harder to handle as the run goes on. So in the short run, Azelhart may be okay, but she'll definitely start to feel it at the end of these longer runs.
We might have a change for the lead fairly soon because Buchanan is there on Kennedy.
Yeah, trying to make it a Ford back-to-back in the Snapdragon series. Davenport also looking underneath Quinton for third.
Yeah, that might actually go a little bit better than the move for the lead.
Quinton got a surprisingly good run on the outside through 3 and 4.
Yeah, that's surprising. We have not really seen anybody. We have not really seen anybody fighting off on the outside in 3 and 4. I mean, 1 and 2 absolutely, but not 3 and 4. 22 is going to try it again.
It's Davenport being a good jump on the inside of 1 and 2.
This time, I think she's going to get it. She's going to get it this time. So the 22 up to third. How about Rose Lockport up into 10th in the 77 car? Had a fair few good runs lately. In Lockport has 5th, 4th, 7th the last 3 weeks, and she's back up here into the top 10 once again. Been a pretty strong run from that Millennium Motorsports driver.
Now, Liz Roberts on track for a first top 5 and top 10 of the season at this rate.
Don't jinx it. Something bad will probably happen. This is me trying to reverse jinx it.
Suspension fail, lap 120, 45.
Fitzmaurice around Summers for the 6th position. And yeah, the 59 is definitely... I think the 59 is quicker than the 12 right now.
Surprising, too, because the 59 is on just slightly older tires.
Slightly. Not too much older, I don't think. Oh, this is going to be interesting.
26.
She's going to try to hold... She's going to try to pin the 12 behind the 26, and it's going to work. And Kennedy's going to lose at least 3 positions, at least 4 positions, because here comes Roberts.
Well, I don't know if the 59 is going to hold on to the lead, because the 59 slowed up a lot during that maneuver.
That got tight.
22 and 5 are going to be on her tail. Oh, Kate Summers got slowed up a lot, and that put us 4 wide for a moment.
Whoa, the 25! Ableton Perez, that car is smoking. I don't think she's going to make it back. I think that's going to be a caution.
That's a big break for Abby Buchanan. They'll get
Caution
her
is
moved off
out.
the racing lane, I believe. Yeah.
Caution is out. They didn't even wait for the mid-race report this time. So exactly
Alright,
at
well,
halfway,
that race
100
is
laps
going-
are complete.
Which means after this pit stop, we should see only one more set of green flag pit stops before the end of the race, if the math works out. And if we don't have any more cautions, it'll be a very interesting strategy play on who runs longer, or who hits maybe a little bit earlier, because they'll be able to make it to the end by about lap 142.
So Buchanan will lead them down pit road. Everyone should come to pit road this time. Well, the lap cars are staying out here, but that's because they are not allowed to. They're not allowed to pit here. Reina Munoz, free pass car in the 7, so she will get back on the lead lap. I can't imagine for very long, but...
It's really unfortunate for Kathy Ableton Perez, too. She was running in the top 5, even competing for the lead at points during this race.
Yeah, and that team needed some good runs because they have not been looking very good in the points. Winner of the race out, it is going to be the 22 of Naomi Davenport. Davenport, Fitzmaurice, Roberts, Kennedy, Summers, Quinton, Martell, Schultz, Lockport, Ille, the top 10 on pit exit. So there's still no green flag. So, well, we haven't seen a green flag stop cycle completely cycle through. We almost had it, but it did not happen. Well, all right, we're gonna take you down to the FanDuel Fan Studio here, as we've crossed halfway, and we're under caution here from the Kentucky Speedway. Russia and Ellie will take it away from the FanDuel Fan Studio. What's up, you two?
Hi. Good to be back in this studio here for the mid-race report. And yeah, great to see the mid-race report start out under caution now. I'm sure this is a great omen for things to come. And yeah, I'm joined back here with Ellie, who we've been doing some pit road coverage in the first half of the race, and we'll do that afterwards as well. And on that note, actually, I'll mention the absolute grenade that we saw on the 25 of Kathy Ableton Perez. I believe the team, I think that's a header issue on that car. They'll of course take a look at that under the hood, but it doesn't that doesn't look like a kind of engine problem that they'll be able to get back out on. That seems to be a very terminal problem. So that'll be the end of their race. Bit unfortunate for the 25. They were running pretty decently, and at one point we're also battling for the fighting for the lead as well. Ellie, what have you think? What have you thought of the race so far? We've seen a lot of good racing, and we've kind of seen both short run and long run racing here, as we're currently under caution is preparing to start another run, I would say.
Oh yeah, we've seen some great long runs here, but I want to mention that crash. That was absolutely insane. I feel bad for the 55. Toasted.
For which car?
The 55.
Oh, the 55. Yeah, no, that was pretty bad. We've seen our fair share of ARCA brake-like incidents here, and that was certainly one of the top ones I've seen so far this season. Seems to crop up a lot on these big incidents. Cars just kind of happen to either they start braking too late or they don't even brake at all, and it's definitely something to think about in this series. I think the pace car lights are out. So the top 5 right now, it's Naomi Davenport, Isabella Fitzmaurice, Liz Roberts, Jackie Kennedy, and Kate Summers. I would say most of these cars have been running up front all race. I mean, Davenport started up front, has been fighting in the front of the field all day. Roberts and Summers, of course, brought themselves up on strategy early on and have been stuck there ever since. Kennedy, I think, similar story. 38's a little bit different. I think they were kind of hanging around on the outside of the top, just outside the top 10, but of course with that recent run and good work by the pit crew, they've moved themselves up to second. I mean, of all the drivers that we have to talk about up front, I think we have to talk about the 8 of Kate Summers, who's continuing that excellent run. She's been fighting for the win at almost every racetrack we've gone to in the last few weeks in the Continental Series circuit, and at some point, I think you have to start to wonder: is she going to be able to get it done? And where is she going to be able to get it done? I would say. What do you think, Ellie? Is it this Kate Summers week? Does she have the speed to win it?
It could be, but again, we have a lot of competitive racing in the top 5, especially. I mean, Davenport straight from the start, aggressive. She's been doing great. Kate Summers, she came out of nowhere. Great runs, but it could not be. 50-50 maybe.
Yeah, definitely so. I mean, with the way they've raced so far, it's kind of hard to predict who's going to win. As we see some 3-wide action back here. There's the 62 of Vinny Schultz, another one of those drivers who's had a pretty strong season. Started kind of in the middle, but moved up front early on, has been making a lot of ground, and is back in the top 5 now, as we see a few cars, I think, that started up front get shuffled back. The 12 of Jackie Kennedy dropping way back. That's kind of the the curse of the outside line. The top of the track, especially in 3 or 4, doesn't really have that much pace, and we're seeing the 12 and 04 right now dropping like a rock. And I think that's one of the themes we've been exploring on this track, especially on the long runs, is that yes, there's a lot of room to move around, but there really isn't a lot of fast racetrack. Like, you really want to stick to either the bottom or the middle lane at this track, I think, and that's what makes restarts at this track really hectic, I think. What do you think?
I think, honestly, I personally would try and fight and claw my way from the middle and get straight to the front, like some of these racers who came out of absolutely nowhere have been doing. I also want to mention Zoe. She has been pushed all the way back. She was in the top 5 at some point, or top 10. Yeah.
Quinton, yeah, she's still hanging in there. She's kind of on the fringes of the top 10, but she's dropped a few places back, but she hasn't dropped too far back. And actually, as I'm looking here, here's a driver that's started out back and has started to really move up. Now Rachel Ramos in the 2. I feel like that 2 car is another one of those drivers that kind of just shows up in the middle of the race. We don't really talk about her much, as we see a bit of contact there. It fits Maurice, and I think there's a slow car. That's a 77. That's Lockport, and it's the 45 as we get a big wreck. Cars everywhere, and that's a huge incident. 66-14. Watch out! 7 cars going through. Going through cleanly. I think there was a problem on some car. It might have been the 45. She was holding up quite a few cars, and we're gonna be back under caution here at Kentucky, and the mid-race the mid-race report curse just continues onwards. As we've seen a lot of incidents during the mid-race report in this series, and in both AWSCO series, I should say, and things just continue to happen during these mid-race reports. As we see, I believe that was a mechanical failure-induced stack-up and caution. We'll get back to that. I think it was the 45. As we see a split in strategy here. 62-38 coming in. Most other cars staying out. Moriyama coming in, and a bunch of these cars have damage, so it makes sense that they'd be coming in, including the 12 of Jackie Kennedy, who we mentioned started up near the front and dropped way back. I mean, 23rd dropped down to the lower midfield, and that's kind of just what happens when you start dropping track position at this track, especially with the hectic restarts. Run. Yeah, had a great run, was around the top 5, dropped way back on that restart, and kind of just got herself in a bad spot. We'll check back on the 45 of Liz Roberts, wherever she is. I'm pretty sure she's getting service for whatever her issue was. Either that or she's actually probably entirely out of the race. I don't see her anywhere. Well, I just looked at the bullshit. Oh wait, I think I just see her. She's getting tire chains, I think. That might have been the issue. It might have been a tire down or something. That seems to be what it is. I'm looking at the context here, and that might have been what happened. We'll have to check. But that kind of shook things up a little bit in the top 5. It's now. Well, Vinny Schultz actually was credited with leading that lap, but that's because she was on pit lane. So it's Davenport, Quinton, Martel, Buchanan, and now the 60. Speaking of surprise packages, the 16 of Jennifer Wilson has shown up. That's another driver who I didn't mention in the pre-race show, but was running pretty well. Was also running pretty well in the races beforehand. She didn't qualify for a most recent race at Milwaukee, but in the 3 last races before that were 19th, 8th, and 2nd. She's another one of those drivers that's sitting kind of in the 30s in points, so as you get a replay of what happened here. Roberts was up front, so the fact that we had a mechanical issue there really caused a dangerous situation here. You see the 45 slowing down, holding up the 38 and 77. Look at the 2. Oh yeah. Oh, okay, I see. The 12 was actually stuck behind. So she didn't lose that many spots, but she just got stuck behind the 45, and that's what kind of triggered all that. A lot of cars involved in that, and that was even more unfortunate for Kennedy. I think she was starting to claw her way back up, but she just got stuck behind the car that was having their problems there. The 99 drop into the bottom. I believe that's for the wave rounds. We're not wave rounds. But yeah, things have started to happen at this track again, and I think that's another that kind of that kind of touches upon another one of our themes in this race, is that whenever we've had restarts, they've been really hectic, and we've seen a lot of incidents coming in from those. Do you think we're gonna see more of those? I would assume so.
Yeah, at this point, with how this track's been playing out, we were probably going to see maybe a couple more.
Yeah, I would think so. Actually, speaking of golf racing cars, you see the car behind the 60? That's the 16 of Hazelhart who's carrying that damage from the big incident earlier on. As we see the 2 car coming in, Rachel Ramos coming in on strategy. Is that an issue? That might have been a problem as well on that 2 car. We may have commentators cursed the 2 car into as well now, so we'll have to double check on that. But yeah, if we start getting around to this restart, I think it would be a good time to start heading over. It'd be a good time to start making our segue to our FanDuel fan pick segment. Here, Ellie, you've been talking about a lot about cars moving up and down the pack. Who do you think is in for a good shot at winning this race?
I've mentioned her a lot, but I think Davenport has a really good shot. Zoe might come out of nowhere and do it. I mean, well, not out of nowhere. She's been up here for a bit. Honestly, I think it might go to Davenport.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty safe bet to go with a car that's been running up front all day long, and I wouldn't, I think that 22 has a complete package this weekend that and they've been running really strongly, so I wouldn't be surprised to see that car stay up front. I'm gonna go with that 5 car of Zoe Quinton. I think McMillan's a team that has been able to put in some really good packages. Of course, the 5 car really hasn't been the beneficiary, I would say, of those excellent racing cars. But that 5 car looks really good, and with half of McMillan out of contention, and I would say Anderson is sitting just outside the top 10 right now. I think that 5 car might have something to say here. McMillan it would be very very nice for McMillan to get another one of their cars into the playoffs, I would say. And
we're seeing some action between them right now.
And with that, I think we can wrap up our FanDuel mid-race report. We'll take you back to the booth for Echo and Runa to make their own picks for the race, and we'll see you. Probably see you on pit road, and I'll definitely see you after the race as well.
All right.
Take it away, Echo.
Yeah, Rena, what's your FanDuel fan pick here?
Yeah, this might not be popular. If Izzy Oberman didn't have damage from earlier, it would definitely be the 93. I mean, even despite it, she's still up in this top 15 race. But right now, it's hard for me to bet against Zoe Quinton. She's up there. She's been here. I can't criticize her and call it luck this time. She has been consistently running top 5 all day.
Well, I'm going to go with the 8 of Kate Summers. I went with her last week, and it didn't pan out, but she still got her best finish of the season. I think there's only 2 spots that she can better her position from last week, and that's second and first. And I think she's got the car to win this race. Maybe a little bit further back in the pack right now, but I think that 8 car is one to watch. As this race goes on, she's had some really strong long road speed. I think it'll be Kate Summers. Those are FanDuel fan picks for Kentucky Speedway, as Quinton and Davenport continue to trade the lead up front.
These drivers always pop up at the end of this one. Really some of the best talent in this series, but Eliza Evergreen and Izzy Oberman are both back into the top 10.
Yeah, the 10 is in 7th and 93 is in 9th, and Izzy Oberman, they thought they had some more engine problems earlier with that fuel system issue, but they have managed to claw their way back up here into the top 10, up into 9th spot right now for Oberman, and this is just kind of been how Oberman's won. This has just kind of been how Oberman's won all of the races she won. She hasn't really done much, just kind of not really making a lot of noise until the very end, and she's doing it once again here.
The The 10 car as well, making up positions.
Trying to get past Hazelhart. You got Buchanan battling with Davenport up here. Rasha, what do you got with us on what happened to the 45 of Roberts?
Yeah, we were just able to double check on that 45 the 45 car and their issues, and yeah, I confirm that was a blown tire on the 45 from the lead. That was just really unfortunate, and really kind of Robert was very apologetic on the radio. There really wasn't anything she could do. I think that was just a really bad place to have a tire go down, and the stack up that ensued just kind of led to a lot of good cars being taken out of contention, I think. And yeah, just yet another blow to that 45 team who's been looking for a good run. Has run well, but just hasn't been able to I think have the luck to run a full race without any issues.
Yeah, that 45 has just had some of the absolute worst luck. I mean, she was running second at Hillside pretty late in the going, too, and then she blew an engine.
Buchanan to the inside of Clinton.
There's a battle for the
Didn't
lead.
quite get it there.
I mean, Roberts was up
Evergreen
front in South
solidly
Boston.
in fifth now.
How about Jennifer Wilson up into battling for the third spot? She's going to lose that spot, but she's going to be in fourth now, and that's impressive from Jennifer Wilson.
Yeah, Gulf Racing really starting to wake up at this point in the race. Bracket, of course, is out, but the rest of their car is running pretty well.
Yeah, Hazelhart.
Summers struggling with handling.
Well, Summers also
Now
was
Oberman
3
going
wide.
for P6.
Summers was also 3 wide, battling with Ashley Johnson and Sandy Martell. Those are the 3 Uberman cars that are even left in the race. Here comes the 59, looking underneath Quinton for the race lead. Did she have it at the line? No, and just barely no.
I'm starting to think I should have stuck to my guns with Izzy Oberman. She's up to P6 right now. She's making moves. Now Davenport going to try a 3 wide move potentially here.
Gonna catch
Number
the
22.
40 of Laura Sundale. She's a lap car. I believe she was involved in the incident with the 45. And yep, the 59 gets held up. Leads a lap,
There's
and
the 5 of Clinton.
here comes the 10 of Evergreen. Look at Eliza up here in this mix.
I've been speaking up Evergreen and Oberman. I'm telling you, this is just their MO, both of them. Show up at the end, and it works.
Buchanan now sitting behind Jennifer Wilson in second. So those two fighting for that second position. Cars further back here. There's a Luxakuma in 10th position. You got 4 wide action here. Moriyama, Johnson, Summers. And there was also the lap car in that mix as well, so I'm not even really sure if that counts as 4 wide action.
With how hard of a hit Moriyama took, I'm surprised to see her running as well as she is.
She's doing alright, yeah. Up in 16th right now. I mean, remember Leah Azelhart took some damage to the front end of that car in the incident that saw the 65 go over, and she's up at an 8th spot right now.
Izzy Oberman trying to get into the top 5 now.
You got Vinny Schultz fighting with Luxakuma there, and this 93 is going to get around the 5. As we got another move, here comes Buchanan once more looking for the race lead on Davenport. Surprised nobody picked that 59 car of Abby Buchanan because this is a home race for this team. They've really wanted to... Appalachian Motorsports has really, really put a lot of their effort into running here in Kentucky. That team based here in Kentucky. So this would be a huge win for them.
I think it's hard to trust the smaller teams with so many big names starting to come into their own with this new series, but yeah, it would be an incredible day for that team if they were able to come home with the victory. Got 72 more laps to do it.
Yeah, it's still a long ways to go. We still got at least one more stop in this race. One more time for the pit crews to not mess things up, and We'll see how far that goes. Eliza Evergreen now up into second position. She's taken that spot away from Wilson as there's a battle for third now going on behind with Davenport and Wilson. Quinton trying to take fifth back away from Oberman. You got the rest of the pack kind of closing back up again on this. There's Martel, there's Easelhart, there's Vinny Schultz. And then Luxacuma rounds out that top
Inverness
10.
cars once again back up into contention.
Yeah, the 6, 62, and 93 all are up here. And I don't even remember what the other one is. Oh, it's the 11. She's back at 20th, so
Has damage as well.
yeah. 14.
All right, catch
are gonna
Edelstein, pole
Edelstein.
sitter.
Another slow car. Abby Buchanan, I
Another
think, has been
unfortunate
very
lead.
strong. I think that 59 is very strong. She might be the strongest car on this run right now.
I mean, Evergreen has been marching through the field and now gonna really test the 59 here.
Ten car looking to the inside. She's going to go for the race lead on Buchanan. But Buchanan's going to get a great run on the high side here, and I think she's going to fend her off for now.
Yeah, one of the things the Fords are great at, especially in the Windows Cup series, but even down in the Snapdragon series, is that corner arrow. You really feel it when you see the Fords go through the corner. They're great at holding stability, especially, especially in clean air. I think you're seeing that out of the 59. It's really hard to get underneath her properly.
Yeah, speaking of the Windows Cup Series, tomorrow night, 8 p.m., we're here from Kentucky in the Windows Cup Series, and, I've been talking about Appalachia Motorsports. Yeah, that team owner is going to be in the booth tomorrow night. Caleb Rose will be in the booth tomorrow for the race at Kentucky. It will be Abby Buchanan. Abby Buchanan's trying to make it look good for them right now. And then next week, we're in the Queen City, Charlotte, North Carolina for a couple of races. The Dr. Pepper 600 in the Cup Series, and there is, I don't even remember what the race name, I think it's the CarQuest Auto Parts 300 for the Continental Series. That's all going to be real fun. Charlotte's our last trip here on these traditional mile and a half before we go way outside the country for the next few weeks. Cup Series goes to a ton of road courses, and we go to a ton of international short tracks. So that should be fun.
Evergreen got a crazy run, but couldn't get it to bite to get underneath.
How about Rachel Ramos? Moved up to the 10th position. She's just taking that away from Luxacuma here.
After blowing a tire, it's honestly very impressive.
Yeah, she had to restart at the back because of that tire down, but managed to get it back.
And Quinton and Oberman have been battling back and forth for that 5th place position for a long time now. Gonna start attracting drivers from behind. Azelhart is there ready to pounce, as is Martel.
The top 9 are all kind of right on each other. They're kind of all in this line here. You have to go back to 10th. You have to go back between the gap between 9th and 10th to find any real separation.
Got
Evergreen
Laura
looking to
Sundale
the
once
inside.
again. This could be very good for Evergreen if Sundale moves up.
She does. And that will give Evergreen finally the room she needs to take the lead.
Maybe
That-
Buchanan did a good job of getting through that anyway, but the 10 just came up and blocked. That leaves the door open to Davenport.
Davenport looks inside. For the second position on Buchanan, you got Jennifer Wilson maybe looking bottom as well, trying to get by.
Top 6 is really interesting. Couple Chevys, couple Toyotas, Honda, and a Ford.
It's kind of grouped. Everybody's kind of grouped up now. Just because, that lap car, they meet that lap car. It's kind of stacked everybody up.
Now Buchanan is just trying to get back into a rhythm. You see Wilson fall back as well. Five car back up into 4th place, and Overman gonna try to get past the 60 and will. Now Azelhart is in conversation within this group. got a lot of lapped cars coming up. This is going to be really interesting. There's Munoz, Ile, Kennedy.
That's a bunch of lap
all up
cars. That's
together.
3 lap cars right here. Jackie Kennedy, who was up at the front earlier on in the race. And now, yeah, these lap cars are going to stack up a ton, especially if they go too wide like they are doing right now with Ile and Kennedy right there. There's going to be room for nobody to go anywhere. Might drag
How will Eliza
everybody in.
handle this situation? Davenport's already trying to get the run to go 3 wide, but Ile is going to move up.
Davenport's going to go 3 wide anyways, though. Ties
A
it
fight
down.
for the lead here out of 3 and 4.
I think Davenport's going to have it at the line.
Oh, that's tough for Izzy Oberman. She got blocked up by the lap cars.
Yeah, she's still getting blocked out right now. Finally going to be able to get underneath. Now Azelhart's going to get stuck. Azelhart's not going to get stuck. She had enough.
Well, Buchanan up to second now.
Yeah, Buchanan's gotten by Evergreen. Evergreen slipped to third. Zoe Quinton is hanging in fourth. Overman's still Overman's still in fifth. Jennifer Wilson's dropped back to sixth. So, you know, this has kind of brought in a little bit of this group over here. Kind of brought in a little bit of this group over here, where you know, now the 2 is kind of tagging along with the rest of the top 10.
You could throw a blanket over the top 4. Oberman kind of on her own, about 5 car lengths back from Quinton, but making up time.
Buchanan slips, and that'll let Evergreen go to the inside for the second spot. And we are in that window now, where if you come down pit road now, you should be good to make it to the end. Provided nothing
Buchanan gonna get a
absurd
good run up
happens.
top.
Provided nothing absurd happens, like you don't fill it enough. This is definitely not referencing any other events that have occurred today.
Quinton trying to get second here on Evergreen. Kind of rode the apron, forcing her way inside, but Evergreen's going to have the better line. 3 wide for second place here. Buchanan's in position to make up a lot of positions if she dives it. Evergreen with an aggressive block will stack that up and force Buchanan to back out, put Zoe Quinton in a very compromising situation. And Evergreen's going to take that momentum and channel it into a battle for the lead, trying to get a nose in on Davenport.
Can't do it. Now Zoe Quinton's up into third. Here comes Overman for fourth.
Through 3 and 4, making moves at the right time. The 93 needs to clear here.
I think she will, just barely. No, can't do it. 59's going to stay up top. 10 car can't get the run on the
Zoe
22 as either. And well, the deeper we go into this run, the deeper we go into this run, the tougher it's going to be to make moves up there, up on the high side.
I don't think Oberman has the raw pace that Buchanan has. I feel like the 93 is just trying to race smart here. Your top 5 right now, 22 of Davenport, followed by Eliza Evergreen, Zoe Quinton in the number 5.
Here comes Quinn.
3-time winner already.
Quinn for second.
I'm trying to challenge for second.
I mean, I thought Evergreen might have been the fastest car, but look at the 5 car. She's making things work. She might actually outpace on the bottom this late in the run. That is a car that is fast.
If you remember, Quinton's setup is very different from other cars we've noticed already. Earlier, she was able to pass on the outside through 3 and 4, which is something we haven't seen any other cars do. So whatever the crew chief did with that one, it's really set up Quentin to make a lot of moves.
Oh, she makes
And-
contact with the lap car.
Not those kind of moves, ideally, but nothing came of it. It's going to allow Davenport to build up a little bit of
Shockingly,
a
that
lead.
didn't end up worse. She gave a pretty good rear tap to the 40 car as we got
had
pit stops.
pit stop.
22.5 are in. Gonna let the 93 lead a lap. So Izzy Oberman will lead one lap here.
How about Izzy Oberman and the tenacity that team has showed today?
Yeah, they've managed to make things work. Great recovery for them to get back up here.
At this rate, Oberman is gunning for a Cup Series spot, showing the discipline that she's able to take race to race. It's going to stay out one more
Whoa,
lap.
the 16
Oh, Leah
almost
Engelhart.
missed the pit road. That's what I was talking
That's
about
the
earlier.
benefit of
Where
staying out here.
that's what I was talking about earlier. Was, well, this pit road is really tough to get on, and you might see some drivers maybe even miss it entirely. And we saw the 16 nearly miss the pit road, but we have not seen anybody completely miss the pit road yet. As the 38
Oh,
has had some kind of failure down there on the apron of the racetrack, and that is right as these cars are exiting the pit road. I'm not sure if that 38 is going to make it back. That might
Vinny
be a horribly timed caution.
yeah, the 93 just headed to pit road. Vinny
Caution.
Schultz stayed out.
Caution is out, and that has thrown a wrench into things, as the 38 has had some kind of issue.
And that's tough on a lot of the drivers here as far as strategy goes, because this is our last pit stop before the end as far as fuel, unless we see another caution. That might have really worked out in Vinny Schultz's favor.
Vinny Schultz, Kate Summers, 1-2, staying out on this pit cycle long, and it has benefited them.
Yeah, Anderson, it looks like Moriyama as well.
Moriyama's 4th. Lynn Oswell is currently scored in 5th.
96
I don't
as well
know.
as that.
It's the 95 Reynolds, then it's Lockport, then it's Aya, that's 6th, 7th, 8th. I'm not sure where the rest of the scoring is coming in. We're going to wait for these cars. Everyone here is coming down pit road, so we're going to wait for these cars. See who gets the free pass to get back on the lead lap. I believe it might be the 60 of Wilson. It is, in fact, the 60 of Jennifer Wilson who will be credited with the free pass, although if these cars stay out, they will obviously get to take the wave around. But an unfortunate break for all these drivers that came to pit early. Davenport, Quinton, Ramos, Oberman, Buchanan. They're all they're pretty cooked.
Say, it looks like we have an update on Isabella Fitzmaurice.
Ellie, what's up?
So, very unlikely to get back on the track. Engine failure at this point. Isabella is pissed, very pissed.
Yeah, I don't blame her. She was running pretty good until all that.
In a theme this race, drivers are in contention, looking for good runs, and then the cars just give out on them. Oh, the 16 is low.
16 of Leah Azelhart appears to be having some kind of issue. I believe she was one of the early pitters, and she's a lap down, so if she has to come to
Looks
pit
like
road,
she's
that
a
would...
right rear down. Or left rear.
If the 16 has... Yeah, 16's coming to pit road, so she can't take the wave around anymore now because of that. And that is really unfortunate. Well, the leader, I believe, is the 64.
And
Yes.
64 team has been very, very interesting on strategy this race.
A lot of cars are going to be taking the wave around here. So all those cars that have just come out will take the wave around, and they will get back on to either the lead lap or wherever they were. Rasha, what happened to the 16 of Hazelhart?
Yeah, it was a slow puncture on the 16. They didn't want to take any chances there, so they just brought it in and they changed the right sides on that car. So I think it was one of the right side tires that was just having an issue there.
Well, for Leah Hazelhart, she is back out on the track. However, she will be lining up at the tail end of the field here. Although, because she's actually in between some of the lead lap cars, and since the wave around cars don't count for that, she actually probably will be able to get the wave around for the lap cars. So, lights are out. Moriyama, Summers, Oswell, Aya, Schultz, Andresen, Reynolds, Lockport, Wilson, and Davenport is the top 10. As we've cycled everybody back around.
This is excellent for Kate Summers. Back up to the front on strategy and only gonna have 41 to go at the restart.
It's an all-out sprint from here. No more pit stops. That was the last one.
Yeah, unless we see another caution.
Very possible. Very possible. In fact, I would say very likely.
Moriyama, 64. You see the green flag.
Here we go. Green flag is
And
back
green
out.
flag is out. Summers had a slow restart there. The 64 actually managed to get quite the jump.
Not a great jump
Almost
on
left an
the. Not a
opportunity
great
for
restart for the
Oswald.
8, but see if she can maybe charge. See if maybe this is a play to charge up something down the back straightaway. And yes, it is.
Here comes Anderson as well, gonna get past Sakamoto Aya.
The 95
Car
is
to the
really
inside.
slow, and she is stacking up a lot
my
of cars
goodness.
back here.
That is a terrifying sight.
Whoa, the 11,
towards
I
the
believe,
back
came
side
to
of the
pit
field.
road. Whoa, that's a
Oh, we have
big
smoke.
stack up. Big stack up, as I believe the 11 of Aya had a penalty and came to the pit road. And same for the 04, although the 04 was lined up at the back. But that has caused a bit of a mess. Well, sometimes it's better to be
Well,
lucky
good for
than
this
good.
Top four.
Sometimes
Top
it's
four a second ahead of 5th place.
Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. If you're Kate Summers, I mean, she's been both today. She's been good. Kind of fell back a little bit, but she got back up front here after a very lucky cycle on the pits under this last caution. And the 8 car now out front. Moriyama sitting second. Then it's Oswell and Andresen. 5th place Vinny Schultz, and 6th place Naomi Davenport. This group back here really got stacked up, and they're going to have to make up a lot of move. They're going to have to make up a lot of ground. There's another yellow. Don't count out the 99, Karina Willis-Callaway. She's actually running with a lot of these cars. So if there's another yellow, and it doesn't involve the 99, she could get back on the lead lap, and she could make up some good ground.
Well, the rest of the top 10 is starting to catch up to that top 4, especially see Schultz and Davenport up there. Oberman and Evergreen have cut their way through the field back into the top 10 positions. Now they've just got to make up the nearly 2-second difference.
Rachel Ramos as well has actually kind of managed to make her way up here. Got Oberman, there's Evergreen, there's Ashley Johnson up here. We got battle for 5th. There comes Davenport on Schultz. You know, as the run goes on, we're seeing that it's just, you know, I think that's the interesting thing we've seen is that as the run has gone on, the car on the bottom lane in 1 and 2 just gets at, you know, more and more disadvantaged as time keeps going. 22 has gotten the NordVPN fastest lap of the race back. Kennedy had taken it earlier in the race, but the 22 has it once again.
Yeah, 22 is absolutely rapid. Got past Vinny Schultz, now going up for 4th place.
Trying to get by Oswell.
Might get by Anderson here too.
Might get Andresen, and yes, she will. So Davenport up to 3rd, and she's well ahead of the rest of the field that is cycling through. Abby Buchanan back here. You know, you can't really knock the strategy play here. A lot of these cars, maybe not looking the best, but strategy-wise, this is pretty good for all of them.
I'm trying to
get
keep
up to the
track
front.
of the 2-car and that group. They're making up about 0.2 a lap, which at that rate they will eventually reach this top 5, and that's going to get faster the closer they get as they catch the draft on the backside.
Yeah, absolutely. Vinny Schultz trying to make a move on Oswell. Schultz was in the top 10 before the pit cycle. So I would expect that 62 to be very fast.
Anderson trying to get underneath Mariyama for 3rd. Yeah, Kate Summers has a real shot to winning here, but Davenport has chased her down.
Davenport is here now, and they're going to catch these 2 lap cars.
Make that 3 with Sundale.
Well, they'll get past Sundale. So actually they're going to catch Sundale first here. Davenport is there. And now Schultz is going around Oswell on the outside. These 2 keep battling, the 93 and the 2, and that's kind of slowed them up a little bit. Summers.
I think the 40 slowed up to 8.
Might have just a little bit. It's still hanging on to this, though. At least for now. She'll get underneath the 11 pretty smoothly. 22 may look underneath, though.
Looking the inside.
22 looking underneath. Here comes Davenport. Looking for the race lead. Summers will not let her have it. Closes the door as she gets around the 04 of Ile. Davenport looking once again. This time she's got a nose. And this time the 22 is clear. And Davenport back out front. But for how long? Because the 8's going to try and fight back on the inside. They made contact. And Summers fighting back. She is not letting this one go easy. And Andresen and Vinny Schultz Andresen and Vinny Schultz are closing on these 2 as well. This could be a 4-car battle for the lead. Contact again. 22 gives the 8 the little quarter panel tap.
Racing very, very aggressively.
And Andresen and Schultz are now here. This could be this is very much turning into a 4-car race for the lead.
Yeah, a couple of Toyotas, both from different teams, got here on strategy, but looking fast and in contention for the lead. Davenport has looked unbeatable, but Clearly, these drivers have something for her.
Summers looks inside on Andersen. Those two battle. That might let Davenport get away a little bit. As there is now 25 laps to go here from Kentucky. Andersen fighting on the outside to stay in second, and she's going to do it. And Krista Andersen, the driver from Denmark, has had a pretty solid season. Not outstanding by any means, but been solid. Summers underneath the 35 now. They stay side by side off of 2. Summers gets it. Now Schultz will follow. And now we'll see if the 8 and the 62 can run down that 22.
Vinny Schultz very aggressive with the 8 through that corner.
Giving
Trying
her
to
a
put
big
some
push.
pressure on Kate Summers.
Goes to the inside. Summers drove it really deep into 1 and 2 there. Into 1 there.
Sacrificed a little bit of her exit. That's going to give Schultz an opportunity.
Can't get
If
it.
Summers doesn't block, but the 8 did.
8 was able to get underneath.
Very quietly, Eliza Evergreen has made up 3/10 in the last 2 laps.
She's caught up to the 64. She's bringing the 2 and the 93 with her, but we'll see if they have enough time. They probably will, but we'll see. Summers and Schultz 2-3. And you can't really say enough about Kate Summers this last stretch of races that she's had. Obviously, she finished 3rd in Milwaukee last week. She's run great almost every week. More and more, Summers continues to improve week after week. 8th place at Hillside a couple weeks ago after having multiple issues in that race. She had a 12th place at Bristol after leading most laps and winning the pole there. And now she's trying to hunt down the win here in Kentucky as Davenport squirts by the 14 there.
That's one way to put it. Now Evergreen gonna try and get around Moriyama. Slowed that whole group down a little bit. The 64 just doesn't have the pace to hold up here.
Yeah, clearly not.
Here comes Laura Sundell.
Trying to catch the 40 again. Oh, the 22 is going to get held up.
Oh, and Vinny Schultz is going to take full advantage there.
Schultz got a great run, but she had to stop for the 22. Now here comes Vinny. 62 dives to the inside. Can't quite get underneath Davenport. Now she'll try. Into turn 1. This is going to be difficult for her to pull off. Can't get it.
Still got time.
Still has time. Still has 17 laps. It'll be 16 to go when they cross the line here. Summers trying to get underneath Andersen for 3rd. Gonna make that ground stick. Schultz staying in the preferred middle lane. Worth noting, but Zoe Quinn has fallen off. She is back in 15th now. She's not making up the ground that she had wanted to make up. Schultz enters a little high. I think she's trying to get a little bit more momentum on exit.
And it's tough for the 10 car in this group back here. They're just outside the threshold where they could start getting a draft off of the drivers ahead of them. They'll make up a 10th and lose a 10th here and there.
It might be just down
But
to
if
these
this-
four.
Yeah, that time held position. Oh, we have the Anderson.
Anderson went to the inside.
Making an aggressive move to the outside.
Summers actually, yeah, Summers did a great move by going to the outside there.
You can tell how aggressive these drivers are right now. All of them feel like they have a chance to win. Here comes Summers.
Summers has a big
Riding
run.
off that momentum. Talk about heat in sports like basketball where drivers or players get hot. They start to chain together good performances.
And that's what Summers has been doing lately. And the 22 slides up the track. Here comes Vinny.
Vinny Schultz has the lap cars ahead to use as a pick. Vinny Schultz is in a great position.
She takes the lead. Out front, it's the 62. The 8's going to take second. The 22's still going to get held up by the 7. It's not over yet. Davenport still can get back up there, but it's going to be a battle. Here comes Summers.
Vinny Schultz doing a great job pulling off that 8 car who's definitely charging.
As we've reached our Windows 11 to go, Vinny Schultz, Kate Summers, Naomi Davenport, Krista Andresen, and 5th place is Eliza Evergreen, just 1.6 seconds back. Ramos, Oberman, Martel, Buchanan, and the battle for 10th raging between Moriyama and Wilson right now. The battle for the lead is raging between these two. Friends off
Summers
the track.
definitely got a good run.
Friends off the track. But right now, enemies for the race lead. Here comes Summers.
The inside through 1 and 2, Vinny Schultz has the preferred line, and that definitely showed. The 62 put up a great run through the middle of the corner. How's the exit going to be?
Gonna clear the
Just
8 on
fine.
exit.
Into 3 and 4, Summers running a little bit lower. Schultz can't quite hook the same line that the 8 can. And that keeps giving Summers the opportunity to move inside going into 1. But that's not the correct line. Summers would be better to try and pass on the outside. The only problem is if she can't clear Summers, or can't clear Schultz.
Summers is
She
gonna
runs
get
the risk of
underneath.
opening the door to Davenport. Summers to the inside on 1 and 2. What a move.
62.
And now I think she's going to have the better line.
I think the 62 just missed the line in 1 and 2 there, and that let the 8 get underneath. 8 laps to go for Kate.
Summers.
Can Summers hold on?
Not much time left. Evergreen might enter this race for the very last couple laps at this rate. Vinny Schultz trying to get to the inside for 3 and 4.
She just
might have an opportunity.
She just got there.
And she sends it. Breaks very late into 3 and 4. Summers overcorrected, trying to account for it. He's going to lose the lead here,
Davenport's
but Davenport is
here.
going to take advantage.
22's back. Don't
Schultz
count this car
sacrificed
out.
her exit, and Davenport took advantage.
62's going to get a really good run off.
Yeah, Davenport, though, holding well on the inside.
Can't do it, though. Can't keep it.
It's going to be hard for Davenport with Kate Summers breathing down her neck, though.
And the 22
a little
slipped high.
contact between those two.
22 slipped high, and that lets the 8 get underneath, but now that might give the 22 the outside lane here in 1 and 2. The preferred lane.
Schultz does a little arrow blocking, that helps out, but they're coming up on some lap cars. This could shift things up a lot, especially now that Evergreen, Ramos, and Oberman are all kind of in this picture.
They're closing.
Vinny Schultz going to get around Laura Sundale.
They're too wide in
Too
front.
wide. Liz Robertson, Rose Lockport. Schultz slides up. Davenport has
Schultz
the
went up the
opportunity
track.
to take.
Looking
And
all
Schultz
over
is
the
locked
place.
to the outside through 3 and 4. Davenport going to take it 3 wide potentially.
They went 4 wide.
4 wide for the lead. Oh my goodness, Kate Summers gets a massive run.
4 laps to go. Here comes the 8. Big run, big dive into 1. Maybe? No, not quite.
Davenport gonna have a great chance here.
Great job by Davenport to charge back out front, but for how long? The 10 is here now. Here comes Evergreen.
Evergreen takes it almost 4 wide on Anderson. Oh, it's very, very tight racing up here.
3 to go. Remember, there's no overtime, so if a caution comes out, that ends the race. Schultz and Summers trying to chase down the 22.
And they might have a shot, but they're not going to get here this lap.
They're closing, though, pretty well and pretty quickly. Schultz is there, 2 to go. '62 backs up the entry a little bit. I think she backed it up a little too much, though. White flag's gonna wave. Summers to the
Underneath Vinny
inside.
Schultz, this is exactly what Davenport wants to see.
White flag is out. 1 lap to go.
Vinny Schultz is going to get the outside lane here.
Schultz is gonna get the momentum. But it's gonna be
Not as much as
Naomi
she would've
Davenport who's got that decent lead. It's just good enough right now to where she can cruise it home. And Naomi Davenport drove through the field, comes through after the mid-pit cycle caution, messes everything up, and Davenport will win in Kentucky from way deep in the points. And Davenport is in the playoffs.
You know, what a race by that 22 car. The fastest car all day. Races up through the lapped cars after that pit cycle. Fights her way to the lead. Takes it, kind of rips it away from Kate Summers, who I imagine is kicking herself after that.
I think if you're Kate, you got to be happy with a 3rd place. Even after all that, I think 3rd is. I think that the result that she got in this one, still absolutely worth being proud of.
For sure, but you know how race car drivers are.
Maybe not Kate. She'll be happy with a 25th if you give her a decent car.
Eliza Evergreen got a top 5 out of that. Izzy Oberman somehow, after the engine damage, ended up in the top 10 as well. How about Jennifer Wilson as well? Kind of an underrated performance here today. Ended up in 10th.
Yeah, Zoe Quinn still finished 13th, so she managed to salvage what she could. Abby Buchanan finished 8th.
Liz Roberts finished 18th, still in the top 20 after everything.
Yeah, lap down,
Karina
but
Willis Calloway came home with a 20th place finish.
20th for Karina after having those issues. Could have got back in the lead lap if there was another caution, but things didn't play out in her favor. Whoa, what'd you think of that one? What did you think of that one, and what do you expect for the Cup race tomorrow?
Honestly, a great race, a great finish, or at least lead up to the finish. I think that the length is going to be a big impact on the Cup race. It's more pit stops, more opportunities for wacky strategies to come through. So I think this might be a great chance for an unexpected winner in the Cup Series. Maybe a first-time winner is something I might put up there. But we definitely did see, just inside of all of the different cars who were up there on strategy, the cream of the crop still did rise to the occasion. Naomi Davenport, of course, driving her way through the field for the victory here. Evergreen, Ramos, Oberman, and Buchanan still all come home with a top 10 finish after that. So I think we'll see something similar. Hopefully not as many wrecks though.
And we didn't even really have that many incidents tonight. Just a couple that were fairly large, but nothing really too major. All right, well, we're gonna send you off to the FanDuel Fan Studio with Rashi and Ellie for the post-race report in this one. What do you two have for us down there?
Yeah, Echo, and great to be back in the studio here. Welcome back for the post-race report here in the infield of Kentucky Speedway. And yeah, Naomi Davenport, what a run by that 22 car. That car was just fast all day. That was one of the... I'd wager a guess and say that was one of the best drives I've seen in the AWSCO Snapdragon Continental Series to date. I mean, that car was up front basically all day, and even when she got bottled up a bit and got sent down to 10th place in that last run. I mean, it took a little bit of luck. We saw that it took a little bit of luck. We saw the that big stack up at the onset of that restart. Well, Davenport was on the outside actually. That could have been a major loss of positions for her if everyone at the bottom of the racetrack didn't have to slow down, and she got her way up to 6th from that and cleared a lot of those cars really quickly. So bit of good fortune there, but that car was hooked up all day. Good, and what an excellent battle we had there, Ellie, between those 4 cars trading positions back and forth for the lead in the last, I'd say, 20 or so laps. I think that was really fun to watch.
Yeah, that was something. Honestly, amazing racing all around, though. I mean, Echo was right about this being a high-action track for sure. We've had amazing crashes, like insane, exhilarating, and we've had trade-offs. Honestly, my call with 22, it was really just due to the aggression I saw in her racing early on. When she was held up between those other cars, even then, something about her aggression was telling me, I think I just got to go with her. She's very aggressive. She's straight from the go. I thought she had some of the best racing I've seen out of everybody. But I will say the top 15, top 20 even had some very great moments.
Yeah, I would think so. Also, we'll talk about the other cars in the top 5. Vinny Schultz and Kate Summers ran really good races as well. Both of those cars look really fast. Krista Andresen as well. A really good run by her. Eliza Evergreen, of course, points leader. That's a driver I don't think you can count out on any event, and she proved that again with an excellent top 5 results. And Rachel Ramos, good recovery after that. We saw in the mid-race report that she had to come down under caution to get a tire replaced, and I don't think that slowed her down one bit. She managed to get back up and race alongside the rest of the pack, and she managed to bring it home in 6th. I will say with the 22 kind of gate crashing her way into the playoffs, that will make things interesting because the playoff battle was between Buchanan, Anderson, and Azelhart, all 3 cars that were running pretty decently. And now that line's moved up a little bit, we'll see what that means for the 35 and 59, because that 35 had a really good run. The 59 also had a good run, and I think they were pretty close in points before this. Yeah, about 7 points or so. So we'll continue to watch that playoff battle closely over the rest of the regular season. And of course, this assumes that we don't get any more gate crashing winners. I mean, Kate Summers is still technically outside of the playoffs. That's a car that has been on the verge of winning, I think, for the last month or so. And I will say that speaking of good recovery runs, the 93 of Izzy Overman, she had that fuel system issue at the beginning of the race. I think they feared that issue was gonna affect the rest of the engine, but doesn't seem to have hurt it too bad, and she managed to bring it home in 7th. So really good run by that 93 car. Just yet another one of. We mentioned that the 93 was struggling to get good consistent results together earlier on in the season. She had those 3 wins, but at the same time, at the time of her getting that 3rd win in South Boston, that was her 4th top 10 as well. And since then, she's finished 12th and 7th. So 3 good runs for that 93 team. I think we're starting to see that team's resilience grow. And what do you think of that 93 team? Are they figuring things out just in time? I think they've gotten the wins, and now they're starting to get results. Get other results in there as well.
They very well could be, and that comeback was really something. I mean, especially after the failures, had to get pitted, crawling her way all the way back to the top 10 was really something.
Yeah. And another top 10 run for Sandy Martell as well. That puts her up to 3 top 10s in 5 starts, which is very impressive. That 82 car is struggling to get on the grid, but whenever she's there, she's running really well. And who knows, with the way the playoff system works, we've just seen the 22 gate crash to the playoffs from 39th place. I don't think 45th place would be all that absurd either. And, well, we'll just have to see. Things are going to be very interesting as the rest of the season goes on. Of course, we have Charlotte coming up next. I know we have a whole slate of short tracks coming up in on our international tour, on our little international tour, I should say. I believe it's San Eustache and Delaware and Ontario. So that's 2 Canadian tracks and 2 very short tracks. I don't think either track is... I think both of those tracks are under a mile long, and both tracks under a mile long, of course, I should say. And I want to say they're also about half a mile. Yeah, San Eustache is under half a mile, so those are going to be big. Those are going to be really fun events to watch. I think though, with Charlotte coming up, do you think these teams got in a lot of good data and learning experiences for the next race? So I think the racing is probably going to be. I think the racing's probably not going to be too different. What do you think, Ellie? Do you think they're gonna be a little bit more prepared coming in for Charlotte? We did see quite a few mechanical problems here.
Oh yeah, I would hope so. The problems we've seen so far, I would hope they're gonna be a little bit more prepared. They probably will be, especially with the aggressive racing we've seen from everybody. They're gonna want to prepare. I think Charlotte's gonna be fun to watch.
Yeah, I think Charlotte's one of my personal favorite tracks in terms of the racing that we see there. And yeah, there are quite a few mechanical problems, but at the same time, we haven't really raced at these big tracks too often. I think this was, I want to say, our 4th race at a track that's larger than a mile long. So 4th or 5th, I want to say. That might not include Daytona as well, but Daytona is a whole different beast. But yeah, I think we should probably expect, I'd say, more of the same heading into Charlotte, more of that kind of draft management racing, a lot of being able to get good runs. We saw how good the 22 was in terms of being able to take those runs and stopping other cars from taking the runs that they were getting. I think that just kind of shows how strong that car was. And I think we're going to see more of the same in terms of the general racing product, I think, at Charlotte. Hoping that race is really good as well. And do you have any other thoughts on the way the race went?
I was a little disappointed to see Zoe Quinton drop, but she held her own. She did great. Everybody did great. It was a great race.
Yeah, I'd say that was a really good race. I mean, I think if you're talking about someone like Zoe Quinton, not the result that you really wanted. I think that that team just kind of got the setup a little bit wrong on that last run, dropped back to 13th in the finished about 10 seconds back, and yeah, I think the equipment is definitely there for that 5 team. I mean, we just saw with the 35, she was battling up front for the win in that last bit of race. She did get that 35 car of Anderson definitely had a bit of luck. She was one of the main beneficiaries of that mid-cycle caution from the 38's engine failure. But hey, sometimes, as we saw with cars like Davenport, even though starting up front isn't exactly a guarantee that you'll be up front, nor is the opposite true. If you're starting out back, you can have a good car that helps. If you have a good car, that'll help you move your way up the pack. And I think starting down low in the on a starting order, whether it's the beginning of the race or the middle to end of the race, I don't think it matters too much, especially with how hectic restarts can get at these 1.5 mile ovals. And I would expect more of the same at Charlotte, I think.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to Charlotte.
Yeah. And with that, I think that'll do it for our post-race review. We'll take it back to Echo in the studio, who will wrap up the show for everyone.
Yeah, and a great race here from Kentucky. Once again, a phenomenal show this track continues to put on. Absolute phenomenal shows all the time here. And we'll be back for the Cup Series tomorrow. That show should be even more phenomenal. And next week, it's Charlotte. Another 1.5 mile track. Runs pretty similar, looks pretty similar, but same great racing action. All right. We hope you have a good night. For those of you who tuned in, thank you for watching the Great American Insurance 300 from Kentucky. I will see you all in the next one. Good night.